Okay, right, so I'm going to talk about infinity and beyond, and thanks to Voltier's catchphrase, he's pretty much appeared in every article about this since Toy Story came out. And so, Seeing Infinity is the title of my talk. I kind of decided I wanted to try and get across some university-level maths in this format and see if it works. I'm really sorry for experimenting on you. It'll be over quite quickly. There's not very much maths in it, I promise. And so what I really love about maths, what did it for me, was the sort of elegance and beauty and quite often the simplicity of mathematical proofs and how elegantly they work. So that a mathematician will just twist the problem round so that seeing it from a different angle, the answer will just fall out of the bottom, kind of like the Channel 4 identity. And the study of infinity gives us a great example of this. So you might have been told that infinity isn't a number. Well, it's probably better to think of it as a number when a badly behaved one, a kind of eccentric but lovable uncle of a number. For example, if you think about an infinite hotel with an infinite number of rooms, each of which already have an occupant. Anyway, it's high season. If a new guest turns up, then can we accommodate him? And the answer to this question turns out to be yes, we can, because you can put him into the first room and then just ask everybody else to move along the room. And even though all the rooms are already occupied, there will always be enough rooms to move people along because we've got an infinite number of them. And what that shows, believe it or not, is that infinity plus 1 is equal to infinity. And it actually turned out that infinity times 2 equals infinity, infinity times pretty much anything is infinity. So people started to wonder if there was anything bigger than infinity. And so the answer to this comes from things called real numbers. And by real numbers, we just kind of mean all of the numbers, including the really untidy ones that would take a long time to write down. Probably the most famous example of this is pi, which goes on forever. And people have looked for all kinds of things in the digits of pi and come up with all kinds of crazy theories about it. So the real numbers give us our example of a thing that's bigger than infinity, because it turns out that there are more of them, even between 0 and 1, than there are whole numbers between 1 and infinity. Proof of this is my favourite proof, so I don't get out much. It shows us that infinity was more complicated than we might at first have thought. So how this goes is we start by assuming that actually there are the same number of real numbers as there are whole numbers, and that means we can line them up next to each other. So this is just the real numbers between 0 and 1. And then what we do is we make another number out of these. We take the first digit of the first number as our first digit of our new number, second digit of the second one, and so on all the way down the line there. And then what we do is we make another number that has a 4 in every place, but a 5 where the other number had a 4. And that number can't have already been in our list, because it's different in at least one digit to every other number in the list. But it is a real number, and it is between 0 and 1. So we've got a real number that actually wasn't in our list to start with. That means that our original number is bigger than infinity. So that means lining them up is impossible, so we found something bigger. So that proof, that's it, that's all the maths, that proof by a guy called Cantor is I think, an example of something, very, very simple. He just kind of twists the problem round, and the solution comes out the bottom. But it tells us something very fundamental and quite unintuitive about the way that numbers work. So, as a last Ignite Cardiff, people were going around saying, do a talk, and I was like, no, I'm not interested in anything, I can't, don't have anything to talk about. And one of the guys, in the nicest way possible, handed me a book on knitting and told me to get a hobby. And I kind of thought, actually, yeah, that's quite pathetic. So I put this together. I hope it made at least a little bit of sense. It's been a great fun to do it together, and I would highly recommend to anybody else that you have a go. Cheers.